Hello guys, welcome to a new tutorial series on C Sharp. In this beginner course, I'm gonna teach you from basics how to use C Sharp, from making a console application to making a full-fledged desktop application. So let's get started. So the first question is, why should I learn C Sharp? The reasons are: it is object oriented, it is robust, scalable, it allows cross platform, which is very important and a big feature of C Sharp. It has a convenient syntax. So the reason I wrote here convenient and not easy, because easy syntax are like the easiest syntax is Python syntax, and one of the most beginner hard syntax is for beginners hard syntax is C or C++. C sharp is a blend of both, so it is not as easy as Python, but it is not as difficult as other programming languages. So it makes a good starting point to learn C sharp as a beginner, because when you start learning any other language, it is not that difficult to catch up with its syntax. Like, for example, my colleagues, some of them who only know to code in Python, they have a difficult time in reading code of other languages. So this is a very personally, it is a very useful thing. It is my personal experience, that's why I say it. Microsoft is going to maintain it. So C sharp is made by Microsoft. uh, it is based on the .NET framework, and Microsoft has invested millions of dollars into this, so they are not going to scrap this language anytime soon, or the framework. Instead, Microsoft is hardly even thinking of keeping this not in trend. Microsoft is trying its hardest to make C Sharp relevant, and it is quite extensible. We'll talk about this in the next few slides. So, domains where you can use C Sharp. It is full stack web development using ASP.NET. So, you can make scalable websites like Stack Overflow or all the Microsoft websites or GoDaddy, which are made using ASP.NET, which you can use by using C sharp. It is majorly made using C sharp. Gaming has one of the biggest uh, reach in C sharp, because engines like Unity, where City Skylines is developed, in which, and CryEngine games such as Far Cry 1 and 2, Crisis 2, Crisis 3. These games are made in these engines which use C sharp. Uh, a surprising domain is ML and AI. So Microsoft is entering the ML and AI domain by introducing ML.NET, where you can make ML models and train using C sharp. iOS and Android apps such as Slack and Pinterest. So one of the biggest advantages, as I said, is cross-platform. Uh, Using Xamarin, you can create iOS and Android both apps using one code. So if you are using Java to make Android app, you'll need to learn Swift or something on those lines, like Objective C, to make iOS apps. So you'll have different code bases, and then you'll need people with different skills to maintain these two different code bases again, and it's just a heck of a task. Uh, in the long run, if you are thinking about performance and stuff, like big companies, Facebook and stuff, it is okay. But if you're starting new, and if you are like a startup or something, Xamarin is a very good choice to quickly deploy your iOS and Android apps. Desktop and macOS apps are also supported using C sharp. It is really cool, again, like writing one code and then you have apps for both platforms. Unity has support for PC, macOS, Linux, PS, PlayStation, Xbox, Android, iOS, think of any platform, Unity supports it, and Unity again based on C Sharp. IoT is one of the major sectors Microsoft is trying to introduce C Sharp in. It is possible by using Windows for IoT. So you can actually install Windows on a Raspberry Pi and code using C Sharp, which is super awesome as well. You can make services and microservices using C Sharp, and you can do modding using C Sharp for games like GTA 5 and Skyrim. Modding basically is modifying the game or making external scripts to modify the game to introduce some different behaviors, such as making everyone zombies or introducing Iron Man into GTA. It is possible by using C Sharp only. So why do I call it extensible and is it beginner friendly? To answer the second question first, yes, it is beginner friendly. I myself started coding from C sharp and it's been, I guess, 4 to 5 years now. And learning another language has been easier because I knew C sharp and its concepts. It's really useful. Uh, Again, because I said convenient syntax. And why do I call it extensible? So, for example, you are working in a startup or something, and you get hired as a web developer who can use C sharp using ASP.NET. That is all you know. So, your boss or your client comes and say, "Yeah, you have made this website for us. Now, we need an Android or an iOS app. Can you do it?" So you'll be like, yeah, sure. I just need some time to learn Xamarin, how to use this plugin only, and I'll make Android and iOS native apps through Xamarin. So that will add value to you when you are in a company. Then they will be like make desktop and Mac OS apps, and then you can use Universal WPF apps for that. And then they'll be like, we have this data and we need you to analyze the data. So you can be like, yeah, sure, I'll just use ML.NET to analyze and predict stuff. So this is super cool. You can even use Azure to deploy your ASP and net websites and stuff, which is super awesome. And Microsoft is constantly working on extending this language or the framework .NET framework. So in this tutorial course, we'll be using Visual Studio Community 2019. You can use Visual Studio Code or any other IDE for that, but for this tutorial series, I'll be using Community. You can use anything. If you don't know how to install, it is pretty basic. So you can just go Google Visual Studio 2019 Community. You can just download it, and it is a very basic setup to run. So it's like very good and user friendly. So I'll just show you how to make a project and how to get started. So I hope you have installed Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. So if you run it, you'll get a window like this. So we'll just get started by creating a new project. I'll be making this tutorial series in two parts. So in first part we'll be using console apps, so basic CMD type apps. If you don't know what a console app it is, it looks something like this, and you just type stuff and the application will do whatever you want. And then we'll be shifting over to Windows Forms when we have all the basic concepts we need, and then we'll try to make an app out of it. So let's get started with our console app, and I'll just name it C sharp. Okay, we can't use sharp tutorial. Okay, uh, tutorial series console. So I'll just create a project, and as you can see, it's supported on these many platforms. And then it will give us a window something like this. Don't worry if you think this is like too much scary or something. I'll go through every single detail, so don't worry about that, and even what these solution and things mean. Right now, if you just have a look over, it has written console.writeline hello world. So it is hello world program. So if I just run this right here, or I can also go in build and run it, it will load and it will say hello world, and it will say press any key to close the window. So that is how you have made a project. We'll start editing stuff, and I'll even explain things in the next coming tutorials. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you need any suggestions or any help, or if you have any suggestions for me as well, you can comment down. Thank you so much. Bye bye.